Hola, cage fighting connoisseurs. This is KidNativeBloodyElbow.com, joined once again by Zane Simon for the sixth round of UFC Fight Night Condit versus Alves. Oh my God, Carlos Condit just shattered Thiago Alves' nose. That's the kind of thing we pay for. I mean, it's too bad for Thiago Alves, but man, what a spectacularly violent comeback for Carlos Condit.
Yeah, it was nice to see, especially because, he didn't look as awesome in round one. I know he's not necessarily the fastest starter, but every time he'd go for like a spinning move or something like that, he'd get punched right in the back of the head, and he's getting kicked and not blocking any of it. It looked like the kicks were starting to spin him around and make sort of affect his movement a little. And then he just started landing nasty elbows and doing all the Carlos Condit things that we love to see Carlos Condit do.
Yeah, in the first round, I was sort of feeling worried and sorry for Carlos Condit, but in the second round, all the pity was for Thiago Alves. Oh my God, I felt terrible for him. Um, Basically just a short, sharp elbow right to the top of the nose, just
Yeah.
shattered the whole thing. And from there, it was a moot point. That was the injury that stopped the fight, and Condit slapped him around for the rest of the round, nearly got a Kimura on him, but I don't know what this tells us. I don't think either guy looked spectacular like a contender, but it certainly made for an entertaining evening of entertaining last two fights, maybe the last three fights. The early part of the main card, pretty stinky.
Yeah, no, I thought I was glad that Darren Till got a knockout because I was expecting that fight to kind of suck too, but the two fights after it delivered on full suckiness. So
Oh, that Ryan Gemma fight, man, when he took the full 5 minutes for the nut shot, it's like the guy can take the fun out of a nut shot, you know? Like, the guy is just a joy killer. But let's talk about that co-main event. Charles Oliveira defeated Nick Lentz, third round guillotine choke. Great fight. Multiple momentum shifts. Both guys look pretty sharp, I thought.
yeah,
Oliveira is definitely somebody to watch in the featherweight division. I liked the sound of him versus Max Holloway too. That sounds like a very fun fight.
yeah, that would be a bananas fight. I mean, especially like they're both guys that got into the UFC really early, and they're both guys that seem to just finally be kind of clicking and hitting their stride after people already thought that they knew exactly who they were. Everybody was like, "Oh yeah, Charles Oliveira, he can throw on some nice subs, but he's never going to really compete." And now you look at him, and he's a guy that you don't want you don't want to see your favorite fighter fight him right now.
No, no, not unless your favorite fighter is Jose Aldo or Conor McGregor. I think they'd
Yeah.
be fine. But yeah, no. But the thing is, though, with somebody like Oliveira that's that young and that talented, you got to be an idiot to think this is the peak of this guy. Like somebody that young should be developing physically, mentally, and technically. Uh, Hand over fist. I think what you saw tonight was just the difference between a 25-year-old and a 30-year-old. Nick Lentz is not a young phenom. He's a guy at the peak or past the peak of his athletic prime, and he put up a hell of a fight. Though you really can't flaw his performance. I think that the thing is he just gassed himself trying to get the finish in the second round, and just had nothing in round three.
Yeah, that was kind of that was kind of funny at the end of the second round when they were or in the beginning of the third when they were kind of talking like, oh, Oliveira might be tired and Lentz, he's been doing all the right things and he's going hard. And it's like, have you seen Nick Lentz? He loses the third round of every fight. Like there is no way he's going to come out strong in this third round, and he just looked shot.
Yeah, he utterly shot his wad in round two, and it wasn't really going for the. I mean, it's not like it was one of these things where he punched himself out desperately going for a finish. It's just his grinding attack seems to take more out of him than it does out of his opponents, which is weird because so many fighters with that style seem like they've got like a life drain, like a vampire touch on their
Yeah.
opponent. But Nick Lentz, it's like he's infusing the dude with his strength. It was a weird,
Always
weird.
loses the third round, and this was no exception.
Yeah, and that's something I hadn't clicked on until you guys were talking about it. I went back and looked at a couple of his old fights, and tonight was by far the most blatant case, though. I
Yeah.
can't remember seeing him come out just looking completely gassed like that. And
No.
it also showed, I think, some of the vulnerabilities of Oliveira is that he's too eager to go to his guard. some of those judo tosses he was trying to go for were
Ah,
really, really ill-advised, and it just
yeah.
ended up, at one point he spent a long time to, getting off his back, fighting to his feet, and the first thing he does is get an overhook and try to get a hip toss, and plant himself right back on the ground. So,
Yeah.
you
I
know,
was yelling at my TV right there.
and so as much as he's very talented and very exciting, he's still a fighter with a lot of flaws.
Oh, sure, but he's the fighter that like Hani Jason wants to be in his dreams. Like it's when you take that same kind of skill set and you max it out, and you say, okay, here's a great athlete who's going to be aggressive everywhere, and who is going to get really aggressive submissions and hit really hard, and he's not always going to fight smart, but he's always going to be really dangerous.
Yes, he's definitely really dangerous, and that is a pretty perfect summation of what Honey Jason would like to be. Although, Honey put on a pretty good fight tonight. Although I think the level of competition in his fight against Damon Jackson,
Yeah.
I don't know that tells you anything. But let's quickly run through the rest of the main card before we do the prelims. Darren Till defeated Wendell Oliveira in the second round. You already mentioned that fight. I thought that was really impressive show of grit, to just a will. That was a triumph of the will there.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of tells me that like Wendell Oliveira is one of those guys that looked like maybe 4 or 5 years ago he really had something for the UFC, and now he maybe got there too late. He's already has like 10 years under his belt, and because Till didn't fight an awesome fight, but he stayed tough in there, and when he finally got a really advantageous position, he used it, and that's great. I mean, that's what you want to see out of a prospect that raw, is that when they get an opportunity, they really take advantage.
Yeah,
So
that killer instinct, because that can't be trained, and
no.
it's just something that's instinctive and very impressive. But then the next two fights, oh my God, Francisco Trinaldo and Norman Park, and Francimar Barroso versus Ryan Jimmo, both of those decisions for the first name fighter, just terrible pieces of shit. I have nothing tell me you don't have anything to add about those two fights,
Park
because
just seems to be getting worse, and I don't know what's happening to him, but he just seems to be getting worse. And that's it. That's the only thing I can say. Trinaldo, like they said, Trinaldo's been training full time for the first time in his career. So that might be giving him a little bit of a boost too. But the Bahosa Jimmo fight is just best forgotten. Like
yes,
just bury it in the yard.
really trying to block it out. Yeah, I'm gonna bury it with my kids' Siamese fighting fish. It was, yeah. Let the stink just stay in the garden. But Alex Oliveira defeated KJ Noon's welterweight fight. Not much to say about this one. I thought KJ Noon's just looks like he's shot. Like,
Yeah, I mean, his boxing looked a little sharper than I thought it would. I thought Oliveira would have a bigger advantage in the stand up, but the moment Oliveira didn't have an advantage in the stand up, he just switched it up and got the submission. I mean, like
yeah,
that's awesome to me to see from Oliveira. I want to see him do well, do big things, and he got a great win over somebody who's one dimensional and aging rapidly.
yeah, and is not big enough to be a welterweight. I just,
No.
the guy was a lightweight, and now he's a heavy lightweight in the welterweight division. So on the
Yeah.
prelims, let's see. On the five pass prelims, opened up with Tom Breeze, who I thought looked very impressive, demolishing Luis Dutra in
Yeah,
one.
he looked great. Tom Breeze, he's got the frame, he's got the style, he's got the power, he's got all the tools to be a really good fighter. So it was great to see him get a good win against somebody that was kind of competing, and then just it's like the difference in athleticism just took over in that fight. Where it's when you're that big, your punching mechanics, as long as they're not horrible, which for a lot of guys that size they are, but it's like even having mediocre mechanics, you can just land one shot on somebody and put them down. So.
and and that's what he did. And then the women's strawweight fight, Juliana Lima got a decision over Erica Alameda. Pretty action-packed fight. I mean, it came early enough in the card that I wasn't bored with grinding decisions. So, if that had followed up the Jimmo fight, I don't know that I would have been able to focus on it. But
No, yeah, it was Lima's one of those fighters. She's the next fighter that is going to fight on Fight Pass prelims for her whole career, and probably like could get as high as like top 5 in the strawweight division while still fighting on the prelims.
That is like a gypsy curse you just laid on the young woman.
I
And
know. I'm sorry, but it's true. Like that's exactly the kind of fighter that the UFC is just like. Nope. I mean, like Nick Lentz, he was co-main event in this. He's gonna be Fight Pass next time out. You know it.
yeah, it's the John Fitch curse, really. The tedious fighting style, and what are you gonna do? And then that brings us to the opener of the Fox Sports One prelims. Mirsad Bektik made a big impression in a 2-round, really 1 round and 30-second obliteration of Lucas Martins.
Yeah, that was what everybody's been waiting to see from Bektic, who really thinks that he's a top prospect, is to just see him really go out there and bulldoze somebody. And Martin's had nothing for him, so that was really good to see.
Yeah, I mean Martins took his beating like a man. That's about all I can say for his performance out there. I would not want to be on the receiving end of what Bektic was dishing out. And then we had a pretty good scrap between welterweights Nicholas Dalby and Elizu Zaleski dos Santos. What did they call him in the? What was the UFC?
Capoeira, Elizu Capoeira.
Elizu Capoeira, which we didn't see a lot of out there.
No, we saw a couple of spinning kicks from the outside, and mostly like Capoeira is just a dude who has like all those fast twitch muscle skills, and then very few of the other skills that make those dangerous. Like he'll hit you really hard, but he can't do it consistently enough to get big wins.
Yeah, yeah, and Dalby, I don't know. I saw some flashes out of him, but overall, a lot to hone on that package before I'm going to get excited about seeing him fight again. And then the most important fight on the prelim card, a flyweight Jussier Formiga defeated Wilson Heiss, unanimous decision, dominated the first 2 rounds with pretty slick stand-up. And like we've noticed in the last few fights, I mean, here's a guy pretty late in his career who suddenly dramatically improved his stand-up technique.
Yeah, it's kind of miraculous, and he's really doing well with it. It's good for a fighter like him who is really not the greatest athlete. Like he's not a great powerful guy. So because you could see even when like he got in these prolonged grappling exchanges with Hayes would just kind of like rip him off him or throw him around a little, easily get positions and stuff like that. And for me, it was very rarely able to control any of the grappling. But Hayes can't strike, and Formiga, that's a skill he's picked up. So it
Yeah,
was, yeah.
made a big difference, and now he's calling for a title shot against Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson. I don't see him having any chance in that fight, but that division doesn't have a lot else to offer. So
No, John Dodson also did look just as not interesting in his bid for a surprise title shot. I mean, though, I think that was really kind of almost a worst case scenario for the UFC, that they would have loved to see either Makovsky or Hayes get a really shocking upset win, and then they could just throw him in a title shot and be like, "Hey, here's our next guy." But
yeah,
now you have Formiga and Dodson, and Formiga hasn't fought Dodson yet, or hasn't fought Johnson yet. But neither guy feels like a contender again. Like,
no, and you got Benavidez out there looking very good in his last fight as well. But again, we've seen him fight and lose to Johnson, so I'm with Formiga just because we haven't seen him lose to Mighty Mouse yet. So.
yeah,
But it's
that
not like it's
he's
going to be
most
a
likely to
draw.
get. Yeah, he's most likely to get the shot for that reason. But I mean, at this point, I'm just counting the days till Henry Cejudo can get a title shot. Like that's
Yeah, now that should be interesting, provided that Cejudo can make weight and keep training and everything else. But it's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll, as they say. So, and then we briefly talked about Honey Jason defeating Damon Jackson. Was basically getting his ass whipped until he got a triangle choke.
yeah. I mean, he played the game in like the way you hate to see guys do it, with the whole like hand touch thing. And it got him a foul. It got him a chance to sort of reset. And then the next time Jackson went for a takedown, the sub was right there. And like that was, I picked him by sub, and a lot of people didn't. The reason, he's just too dynamic if you're just gonna try to wrestle him, and that's all Jackson was gonna do. Which it's like Jackson in that kind of fight, Jackson's gonna win right up until the moment that sub gets locked on. But when you're not like a great controlling finishing wrestler, and Jackson's not bad, but he's just ju-
He was
I
playing
don't
with
know.
fire and he got burned. I
Yeah.
mean, that's it wasn't a sublime exhibition of fight IQ. Um,
No.
but back to the main event, Condit Alves. Where does Carlos Condit go from here? What's waiting for him in the UFC welterweight division?
There are, I think there are a few lurking fighters for him at welterweight, especially in the if I pull up the rankings real quick, I think there are a few guys lurking that I'd like to see him get another fight again. Like, I want to see him get one more fight before he takes on like a serious shot at another top 5 contender. But, maybe seeing him fight, like, has he fought? I don't think he's fought Jake Ellenberger yet, or even Tarek Safadine. Like,
Didn't I'm thinking Ellenberger gave him a real struggle at one point. Wasn't
maybe they did fight. It's been
wasn't
I
that
don't
like
know.
one of
Carlos Condit
Ellenberger's
might kind of
first
run. Oh,
UFC
he did
fights?
fight. They
Yeah,
fought to a split decision. So I
yeah,
could
and that
see a
was
rematch of that.
yeah, that would be fun because Ellenberger gave Condit. I think a lot of people scored that fight for Ellenberger at the time, and I think Ellenberger really poured it on to Condit in that fight, and that would be fun to see. At this point, they both definitely lost a step or two, so I think
Yeah,
that
well,
would
that's
be
the
a
thing
good one.
I'm not sure on with Condit. I want to see Condit against Ellenberger or Story or Safadine. Somebody who, or even Kim. Don't. Well, no, he already blitzed Kim.
He
I didn't see
blitzed
him.
him, but again, just because you blitz a guy once doesn't mean you can necessarily oppone
Yeah.
him in a rematch, So, and
Even
I'm sure
Damian
Stern
Maya.
Gun would like a second shot. Do what?
Even Damian Maya would be like,
Yeah.
any of those kind of fights where, like, against somebody who's not in the running for a title shot right now, but is
What
still at the
about Matt
top of the
Brown and
division.
just go balls to the wall, crazy kill
Who?
Matt Brown?
Oh, yeah, that actually Matt Brown would be another good one. Just like anybody who's not in the running for a title shot, but is still a top guy, because I want to see him measured up one more time before I feel like I don't know whether he's back or whether he's lost a step. Like, he didn't look good early, but he's not a fast starter. And then when he did have to pour, or when he did get the opportunity to pour it on, he really put it on Alves. Like, that was
Yeah,
very much a vintage Carlos Condit performance.
but after you broke a guy's nose like that, I mean, it's pretty much fish in a barrel. I mean, the
Yeah.
balls on Thiago Alves to keep fighting. I doubt that he was aware of how shattered his face
Yeah.
was. I mean, I'm sure it hurt incredibly badly. But to keep going in that condition is something I hope I never experience. Like, oh my God, it's not as I don't know. I think like if you got your jaw broken like McDessie did against Cerrone the other week, that might be more alarming because you're pretty aware of it. I don't know what. I guess you can't breathe through your nose, but it's not like you're feeling it like you're trying to move on it or anything. It's just sitting there completely shattered and driven up into his forehead. Oh my God, that was just horrific. And he seems like a nice kid, and he's had no end of injuries and awful things happen to him in his career. So it's just a bad night for Thiago Alves, a good night for Carlos Condit, though. Those elbows in close range, incredible violence, and he went back to the well on that repeatedly.
Yeah, he
I mean,
did.
he's Carlos Condit is a mean, sadistic individual. And that's a great quality in a cage fighter. I guess last thoughts would be Oliveira and Lentz. I mean, Oliveira, they went into this fight ranked 8 and 9, so Max Holloway at number 5 certainly looks attractive. But um, what's Dennis Bermudez doing? Did he come off a loss?
He's coming off a loss to Ricardo Lamas, I want to say, was.
Yeah, you're correct. I don't think Oliveira's ready for Lamas at this point.
Yeah, he might not be. Oliveira has exactly the kind of style that Lamas tends to really do well against, which is somebody who gives you a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, and Lamas will take those opportunities. Now Holloway, on the other hand, he's more of a scrapper and more of a wild man, and I think that would be a really fun fight between two guys I still consider fairly green. Um, Green's probably
Yeah,
the wrong word,
Holloway
but
would be a great fight. I would really like to see that. Or, yeah, I think that'd be. I mean, and Oliver's the kind of guy who likes to fight a lot, so I could even see him taking a fight against another like up and comer out of the division. But the truth is, the guys below him ranked at featherweight, like there's nobody I want to see Charles Oliveira fight ranked below him in the top 15.
Yeah,
That's kind of a wasteland.
Wasteland's harsh, but yeah, there's not a lot of bright, shiny new talent. I mean, I think what you commonly see in the top 15 is guys who are falling out of the top 10 as much as they are in the top 15. You know, like they're basically waiting to be supplanted by new talent in a lot of cases. But you know, it is what it is. Well, any other thoughts on the card? I mean, I'd give it like a 3-star. It was like shitty, then it was okay, then it was shitty, then it was really good. So it's, you know.
Yeah, I liked it and like I liked it all the way up until the part that I knew I was gonna hate, and so I was pretty much ready to hate it and then move on. Like I was glad that, like I say, Darren Till looked way better than I thought he would, did way better than I thought he would. And then the two, you know, Trinaldo Park, Jimmo Barbosa were bad. They were just bad fights.
And the thing with the Jimmo fight is everybody knew that fight was going to suck going in. I mean, it's just, maybe Ryan Jimmo's mom wasn't hip to it, but everybody else just.
What's the chances he gets cut right now?
It seems high, given his.
It seems
you know,
really high.
The shit he's been talking and the fact that he's boring as all get out. And it's too bad, you know, anytime a fighter starts so frequently the fighters that start, you know, acting like they're going to lead some kind of fighter, he's not even trying to organize anything. He's just speaking out against a pretty obviously not great deal for the fighters in the Reebok deal. But when you add that to being boring, it's just like 2 strikes and a loss, 3 strikes and you're out, you know?
Yeah.
It's you know.
It does. It feels like one of those things that's just, it's coming, and the thing is that the UFC can do it in the knowledge that fans will not care at all. Like there's no amount of like potential, like, oh, he was speaking out injustice, that he can, none of that favor he can curry that's gonna make fans care even a little.
No, and fans don't even support the fighters when they're completely in the right. And so, you know, when you got a guy who's a boring fighter, you know, what are you gonna do? It's just, yeah, I don't know. I was having visions in the middle of the fight, like, what would it be like to show Ryan Jimmo the concept of a combination of strikes? Like, you know, I don't know. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, I wish my whole call on like watching Uriah Hall fight himself had not been so accurately.
It's true.
Like right on.
It's all. Although I think Hall would have shrugged off the nut job rather than just milking it to the nth degree the way Jimmo did. I'm sure it hurt, but you know. Anyway, that's why we're lingering on Ryan Jimmo. I don't know. Great fight,
because it was an incredible low point on this card. Like it's one of those points that it's a fight that kind of drags the card down around it because they put it so high up the card.
It's like sleeping with a really small, really fat dog on a cold night, and all the blankets just like a black hole on the bed. You know, it just sucked the life out of the card there. But you know, Oliveira and Lentz definitely brought it back, and Condit and Alves was a nice capper to the evening. So anyway, we'll be back. Eugene will be back on Monday with Knuckle Up. We're going into this money Tim Boetsch versus Dan Henderson card next weekend. Yeah, that's just might be in a year that's featured some great cards and some stinkers. This might be the worst card of the year so far, at least without the pay-per-view multiple. UFC 186, you had the insult of them asking you to pay $50 for it, but this one's a stinker. But we'll be doing all the usual care, don't cares, and vivisections and everything else for it. So remember to give us a thumbs up on YouTube, subscribe to MMANation.com on YouTube, follow us on Twitter at TheZaneSimon, at KidNate, and read us at BloodyEvil.com. And adios, MMA aficionados. Thanks, Zane.